Hello, welcome to my channel. I'm going to do another review. This is going to be because I'm going to do a buddy build tomorrow on Good Friday, Easter Friday, with a couple of chaps on YouTube. First of all, shout out to Harry Houdini who put me onto this. He came around to my little man cave the other day and had a look at my stash and pointed out a particular tank and went, I'm going to build that on Easter. Okay, I've got about 13 things on the go, why not make 14? So this is what I'm going to build. This is the Char French super heavy tank. I love this hobby because you find out some really interesting things. They made a lot of shit over the years, okay, in the military, in all aspects, not just the American military industrial complex or the Australian with our run of, hey, let's buy this because the defence minister of the day says we should buy it, and then when he retires we'll hire him on as a consultant. But yeah, even back in World War One, you know, the French military, the French industry were literally, you know, hand in hand, and they came up with a genius idea to build a super tank, which was a pile of shit. They were going to build 300 of them, believe it or not. The war ended. They still wanted to make 60, I think I got my history right, but they ended up making 10. They kept all these until World War II. They propped out the ones that they could still get running and find crew. It took crew of 12. It was the biggest tank ever made, ever operational tank ever made, and put them in front of the cameras to appease the French people, to make them like, you know, everything's fine, don't worry about the Germans, you know, it's all good, it's all fine. Propaganda. Wasn't all fine. The Germans blew up most of them. They captured one intact, I think, the Champagne, and took that to Berlin, and poof, that disappeared. Might be somewhere in Russia somewhere, we don't know about that one. Anyway, Harry's going to build a Champagne, and a part of this buddy build, we all get to build, you know, one each. I'm going to do number 91, Provence. They're all named after every little region of France, you know, Champagne, Provence, Poitou, excuse my French. Okay, it's mid. So I'll do that one, number 91. There's no decals for it, so I'll just mask up and make it and what have you. So, quick review. I'm just going to go over the kit itself, and because it's going to be built in a day, I've got to work out how to get it done sequentially, how to get it in the right way. Yeah, so I'm not spending, you know, the entire time there waiting for glue to go off. And I'm going to try to actually paint it and weather it, the whole shebang, in one day. I'm supposed to be working tomorrow actually too, so I've got to work and work on this at the same time. Luckily it's a quiet day on the market, so it should be okay. So without further ado, over to the bench and let's have a look at the kit. First up, let's look at the box art. It's a nice satiny type box art there. They've gone to a lot of effort. It makes a very nice picture there. I like that. I like my box art. I like to cut it out and display it, so that's really good. You get a couple of options on the side. You get the number 93 Alsace with the dual colour pattern there. You get number 90, the Poitou, which I believe the guy who runs our local hobby shop, he's going to be in the buddy build too. He's building that one, and fortunately for me, number 91, same colour. Other side, you get number 97, which is a Champagne, which I believe Harry Houdini is doing this one. So, that's the box, which is chocker full of sprues. There's sprues coming out of here, of everywhere. Look at that, just completely full of plastic. Okay. And tracks, photo etch, and the like, and just a handful of decals. So let's move on to the instructions. Before we move on to the instructions, I just want to show you a size comparison of the Char to the, you know, the main battle tank, for want of a better word, the medium to a heavy size tank from World War II. The Panther is the Panther G that I did late last year, earlier this year, and that's the hull, upper and lower hull for the Char 2C. I mean, it covers the whole bloody thing. This thing was a monster. So I'm a bit afraid I'm not going to be able to get this done in a day, but you know, we'll see in a minute. Oh, and I made a mistake. That last one on the side box, it's not Normandy. Normandy's 99. It's not Char. There. I just can't get it right, can I? Lack of sleep. Too much modelling. Too much building of F-22 and mystery planes. Anyway, whatever. I'll get it sorted post-editing. I'll put a message up or something. Let's go on to the instructions. For me, I find the instructions sometimes as important as the kit engineering, because I just like clear and nice instructions. First of all, map of France, Provence, it's in the south. Lovely region of France, that's what I'm doing. There's all the regions that they named the tanks after for propaganda purposes. Meng, which we should actually pronounce Meng or Meng, is a Chinese company, so it's all in Chinese to start with. Bit of an English explanation there, and some Russian as well. And a nice picture there of the chap who designed the tank. He also designed the FT-17, which dwarfs this. It's tiny. I've actually got the 1/16 version of that. It's a great tank. Usual, don't cut your finger off, don't feed this stuff to your kids, don't glue things to your leg instruction warnings. Unlike the Revell, which go for 4.5 pages, and then they give you a page of, this is how you put the kit together in 400 steps. It's only half a page. Nothing really to note apart from there's 3 options, A, B, C. The major option being C has these fenders that cover all those little wheels at the bottom. Now that's handy for someone who wants to build this in less than a day. Okay, before I go on every step, it's pretty obvious. Char 2C, it's a box. It's a box that runs on a tiny set of wheels. So it's pretty easy engineering. You build the box, you build the top, the bottom, the sides, you shove them together. The subsections after that are, there's an engine box that literally sits on top, so you just build all that and glue it on, and then there's a couple of turrets. So that's basically how we're going to do this. Build them by sections, glue the sections together, let the sections glue and go off, and then put all the details on top, attach them to it. So I will deviate from these instructions, alright? First of all, road wheels to the lower, and then you add you actually put them in loose, which is interesting, so it is somewhat workable, and then you put in the support fenders there for option C. Okay, that's what I'll be doing, so that'll hide most of those wheels, so I can be a bit dodgy on cleanup for the inside ones. I'll try to do my best and just use some sharp shears, and then we go straight to upper hull bits. Again, I would only build the parts that are necessary to close up the hull, so don't worry about putting these external parts on just yet. The inner bogie wheels, the large bogie wheels that go in between the hulls, definitely build those. And we go onto the left hull, the left side that slams together like that. You do have the option to keep this door open, but there's no interior, so that, there's really no point there. And part 7, we can dispense with that to start with, because that's wheels that go attach on top. Instead, we want to do the right hull, idler wheel or drive wheel, whatever this is here, and one of the machine guns. Okay. Yeah, it was an idler wheels, because then we got the drive sprockets. And actually, I don't like this because they tell you, attaching drive sprocket, here's the right hull, here's the left hull, here's the top. Put it together, and it's like, it's in a, this is a tiny little. This should be an expanded bit, but anyway, it should be as big as this bit. Okay, so that's putting the last piece of the puzzle on, and then we put the final details on the rear, and that's pretty much the major hull done. So the way I'm going to do it, like I said at the start, is I'll put those major parts together first, tape them up, let them glue, and let the glue go off nicely, put it to the side, and work on the other sub-assemblies. So we start with the engine compartment, which is quite interesting. It's a big box, okay, with lots of mufflers, lots of vents and so forth. Again, put the box together, then put the stuff on top. There's quite a bit of photo etch in there, and it goes on, and pipe work and so forth. So that should be quite an easy sub-assembly to put together. The next thing is the turrets. So there's another sub-assembly that should be easy to do, 2 turrets. And the last one are the tracks. And you can see here, that's a very nice exploded view of how it all goes together. Whiz bang gabango. Looks pretty straightforward. Meng kits are quite well engineered, so the fit should be okay, so I shouldn't run into any trouble. Sprue map and some nice colour callouts, which leads me to my only other gripe with this with the instructions. All the colours are done in Vallejo. Now, I don't use Vallejo for anything but figure painting. Would have been nice if they'd done additional ones, like for example Guns or Tamiya or MiG or something like that. The scheme I'm choosing is olive brown, which is 71015, which just happens to be RLM 71. I had to check the paint database to double check that. So that's a really simple Guns. Where is it? Up here. H64. Okay. So I know I've painted that before. I use Guns exclusively for Luftwaffe, and that goes down really nice. So yeah, that should be a real easy paint job to do. The weathering is where the details are. So should we do a little view of the sprues? I'll cut them open. We'll have just a quick look and leave the review at that and get this thing built tomorrow. Right, let's have a look at the actual parts of the tank. The first sprue that comes to mind, of course, is the upper and lower parts of the vehicle itself. There's the lower. See all those ejection pin marks there? They'll all be covered up, so don't worry about them. Got some nice raised rivet details there. This is the bottom of the tank, and those slots are where you put those fenders on the inside. So that'll sit there like that. We've got a Meng marking there, 2013 I should say. Looks like Tamiya quality plastic to me. I've started to build the Meng Merkava, and it's exact same plastic. It's pretty good. Here's the upper hull. All right. Again, let's bring out the trusty Panther and see that, you know, I should zoom out here, shouldn't I? But I mean, it's huge. It's going to be another 2 inches longer than a Panther tank. So it's a big tank, but a very simple one. The engine compartment sits on top there. Major turret, small turret. That looks pretty good to start with. So that's top and bottom. The next bit are the sides, the sponsons. Pretty much all World War I tanks are the same sort of design architecture. They're boxes with a full set of tracks that go all the way around each side sponson. Again, the detail on these is nice and crisp. A little too crisp because, you know, welding and steel quality back then was pretty not very good. So, you know, there should be a lot more texture to the steel. Might be able to do that in weathering. No detail on the inside at all. Okay, pretty simple stuff. So that's the main boxes. What we have next that go on are these two sets of internal and outside fenders that you only use for option C, which also includes my version that I intend to do. They're nicely moulded, nice and thin. Yep, they'll do fine. And there's one of the main engine hatches. So far the quality is looking really nice. Nothing to complain about. Here's the top engine box and the ancillary parts. These pipes are actually quite fine, but thankfully, see, that's a beautiful sprue gate they've done there. That's really good engineering. This is Bandai type stuff. The sprue gates are nice and narrow, and shouldn't be a trouble to get those off. And they've put some good ejection mouldings in between them, so they don't snap off and go off to the moon as you cut them off. That's really good thinking, Meng. Well done. Impressed with this kit so far. There's the engine box, okay, which just sits on top. So obviously I'll try to build as much of that as possible tomorrow and just bang it on top, chuck some glue down and let it go off. And the two turrets. A little turret and a big turret. Nice rivet detail, a little bit too uniform. Would have been good to see a little bit of variation in that. But hey, can't complain. It's exquisite quality. That's nice and sharp and crisp. Yep, that's really good. And the little turret, again, same thing. You want to count the rivets? No, go away. Okay, they look fine. Now, this is the fun bit. Look how many wheels there are. The sprue gates here are quite wide, aren't they? Look at that, they take up a good width of it. So I think that's going to be a case of don't try to get it perfect, but get those nippers really nice and sharp and close to the parts. There's 4 of these sprues, so I might actually tackle that first because it's the biggest job, get it done get it over and done and move on. And the last couple of sprues are the ancillaries, the stuff that's going to be bolted on afterwards. So we've got a turret base there, front of the, looks like that's the front of the hull. Okay, again, I can't see any ejection pin marks or anything's in the way. There are some, but they're in the inside, so that's good again on the inside. Even the hatches, actually, see those hatches there that you can pose open. I can't see any ejection pin marks. You can actually pose that open if you wanted to. The detail's a little bit too shallow. I wouldn't want to, actually. I'd really want a full interior. I'm actually going to spring for the Meng Mark V male, the British tanks, with a full interior because, yeah, that looks brilliant. And hopefully this gives me the impetus to do that. So, yeah, another one to put in the cupboard that's way too full and my wife keeps telling me to sell. Here are the major drive sprockets. That looks quite good. I'm not sure if that's wood or steel, like on the FT17. You could do it up for that effect. I'll have to look into that tonight. The mufflers have got a little bit of texture on it. I might just dab some Mr. Surfacer or something on that to give it a bit of a rusty effect. And the other parts, the sprockets and idlers and so forth, I can't see any problems. For the small parts like these shackles here, the sprue gates are nice and small, easy to get to, makes sense how they've attached them to the sprues. So it's good engineering. I give thumbs up to Meng for doing this sort of thing. Other companies like Revell and Italeri, you should pull your finger out of your lazy bottoms and do it. It's the same sprue. Why am I looking at this again? I don't know. Tracks. I didn't cut it open. Do this before you go on camera, Chris. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. What have we got? Right. Some rivets there. Any ejection pin marks? Please, please, no, 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 no. Woohoo! No ejection pin marks on the inside. Oh, that's good. Apparently these just click together. So he says. Look at that. How good is that? So, yeah, that should be dead simple. Photo etch. There's two sets of these. These look really easy to put down. Just use a bit of super glue on that and that'll be fine. And decals. I won't take the decals out, I'm not going to be using these. I will use the 9s. Can you see the 9s there? I think Harry's going to use 2 9s together on each side for champagne, and I think he's going to make up print out some of these, or a shield. Now all the reference photos I've seen are number 91 Provence. I've only seen one reference photo where it's got an actual name shield, because when it was captured there was no markings on it apart from the 9-1 on the front hull, and that's it. So it's easy to paint a 1, I can just mask that up. So yeah, I get a bit of an exit strategy on that. Anyway, enough waffling, let's build it tomorrow. I'm going to try to try to organise myself and get everything all ready. I'm looking forward to this as a challenge, and build and do a project in a day instead of adding it to the bloated shelf of shelf queens and stalled projects and ideas that are just sitting over there and mounting up. So with that, I bid you adieu.